Chris here. This episode goes into some child abuse related to the history of the place we're talking about. If that makes you uncomfortable, we understand you might want to skip this episode. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy it and have a good day.
Welcome y'all to Backwoods, Obcura, a podcast dedicated to the lore, legends, and myths surrounding the creatures that may lurk in your backyard. My name's Hewitt.
I'm Chris.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty decent. It's we've got everything set up for streaming a game.
Yeah.
We got a couple new lights in, and they are pretty healthy in size. You know that?
Like, honestly, like when it comes to our like gaming thing we do, I mean, we definitely won't be Critical Role or anyone at any point.
No, but we're doing what we like, and we're doing it.
It's been super fun. Like, I've been doing my game based in my world for a couple of months now. Mm-hmm. I think everyone's been enjoying it, and the last game was super fun.
It was. Like, it's been a minute since we played, though. We'll say this, Nate's Mothership game was actually...
I did like that one.
Yeah, I liked it because I made a character that was not combat-oriented whatsoever for about the third, fourth time I've done it in a game. This time I did not have to rely on combat to get anything
done.
I also nearly killed a monster by making explosive heroin.
The funnest thing about that game is, like, I could be an asshole. Okay, so D&D, typically, you can make evil characters, but, like, it's uncouth because time and time again you can...
It becomes not fun very quickly.
Yeah, and you go against the party very quickly.
Yeah, and it's not...
In Mothership, it made sense for my character to suddenly be a dick, because I was like, okay, so we're, like, stuck on this space station. We need to fix it. Everyone else is just, you know, running scared and not doing anything. So I'm just going to watch out for my crew. And my character was like, okay, as soon as we saw something and as soon as I found an opportunity, I'm just going to, you know, create some distraction by throwing a pedestrian in the way. And it made sense for that moment because my character was like, I care more about my crew than what we're here for.
The thing I like is you and Jed's characters are both firing machine guns. And I'm just like with a tablet and a set of tools going through a ship's computer like, oh, move faster.
Then our characters are just smoking.
Yeah. But I mean, it's been fun doing stuff like that, and I really do like our backdrop setup. By the way, it's going to get here slowly because it had to be shipped by sea and not air because of its size. I have bought us a secondary metal scaffolding.
Ooh, yeah. You know what's going to be really exciting? You were talking about this, but I'm really excited to see. We do a backdrop. We do. We do a backdrop for our streamed D&D games. But since you're upgrading,
yes, I am upgrading my computer.
We might try to key in some. Like, we might try. We will do the green screen, as they say.
Yeah, well, we'll give it a shot and see. We just might have to tell everybody that there is a...
like, don't wear green.
Don't wear green. Don't wear slightly green-blue or yellow. But, that aside, I got a fun story for you from over near somewhere we've been recently.
Oh, okay. So is this, like, in Mississippi? Or?
Yeah, I'm delving outside of Louisiana for my second time.
Yeah, like, I'm usually the one that decides to be like, hey, we're going to Pennsylvania or we're going to Illinois. And I think recently we went to Kansas.
Yeah.
So, are we talking about Homachita?
Near there. I am talking about the King's Tavern in Natchez, Mississippi.
Okay, so explain Natchez for people that aren't from around here.
Okay, so... If you were to travel about an hour and a half south by southeast from where we are, you would go through Vidalia and Faraday and then cross the Mississippi River into Natchez, Mississippi, which used to be one of the wealthiest cities in the United States. Pre-Civil War, Natchez was one of the wealthiest cities in the United States, and it's not just because of slave labor. That is true that it existed. In fact, if you go to Natchez today, it's one of the cities that has the largest number of plantation townhouses still standing that you can take tours of. In fact, I think there's something called the Hermitage, or not Hermitage, but the Homage.
Yeah.
And you can tour like all of them in Natchez, because what would happen is Natchez is where you had your in-town house. The Delia in Louisiana is where your plantation was.
Yeah.
Like Longwood, I think it's Longwood, is the name of it, is an unfinished one that was the house of a wealthy planter that had 4 plantations in Louisiana. In fact, one of them, they got burned down. The thing that upset him the most about the plantation being burned down and the end of the Civil War and losing all of his slaves was not losing his revenue. It was the house that got burned down with his favorite library that he had not moved to his townhouse yet, that had over 5,000 books in 1863.
Oh, geez.
So just an idea of how many books that was back then, and some of the materials those books were, the material of the books focused on. So, Natchez was a very wealthy city, but before really slavery was always connected to its economy.
I think at that time it's like, if you live in the South, it's kind of hard to...
Yeah, you can't get away from it, but I want you to understand that Natchez's importance was that it was easier for farmers in Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, and what would become Indiana and Illinois to put their crops on a barge and go down to Natchez in New Orleans, instead of putting them in a cart and trying to go over the Appalachian Mountains to sell them in the Atlantic states, like going to New York. So they would rot before then. It's the reason why, like, Kentucky had so much bourbon, is because the corn would go bad before you could take it to sell to somebody for food. So you distilled it into bourbon, or in Tennessee into whiskey, or east parts of western Pennsylvania, you made it into whiskey, which led to the Whiskey Rebellion, because that was money that didn't go bad.
Yeah.
So what these farmers would do is they'd build barges and come down the Mississippi River, and a lot of times they'd stop at Natchez, because much like Vicksburg is high up on the bluffs, Natchez is too, but there's a section of Natchez that's still relatively lower, like the Louisiana side, and then you could load it onto a boat or to a ship that would then take it down the rest of the deeper part of the river to New Orleans and to the outside world. So Natchez very much became a massive trade hub. And that's the reason why the King's Tavern is located there. Now, the King's Tavern is located at 613 Jefferson Street, Natchez, Mississippi. It was built in 1769 in Natchez. It is on the National Register of Historic Places. It is at the top, or it's in the Top Hill District. It is the oldest structure still standing in the city of Natchez today. So it's older than the country is.
Oh, geez.
1769 compared to 1776. So it's about 7 years older than the United States.
Which for us is old. I don't care what people in Tony, do not come at us. No, don't come at us.
Yeah, don't. Now, it was originally built as a blockhouse of Fort Panamure. Is built from beams taken from scrap New Orleans sail ships and barge deck boats, that, as there was no sawmill there. So they took the traditional part of the building.
Yeah.
Is made from repurposed wood from these vessels that came down or up the Mississippi River. Now, cheap building materials, like I mentioned, farmers would make their barges and sell down the Mississippi River and break up the barges and sell them. You want to try to paddle up the Mississippi River on a barge? I don't. I really don't. Like, I've seen how fast that river can move something before just watching it. Like as a child, I used to go to in Vicksburg. There's a place called Celebration Station. It's probably closed now, but it's one of those fun centers that had like go-karts, putt-putt, bumper boats, and you weren't far from the Mississippi River, and you could watch something scoot by this entire length of this fun place very quickly.
Was that like the Fun Factory here?
Kind of like the Fun Factory here.
Yeah.
Just not jank.
Yeah, I remember going there.
Like they actually had the money to have one of those big VR like enclosed rides that could like hold like 12 people. Like I got this version of Star Tours from Wish type.
Yeah, I did the daycare at Fun Factory when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it was pretty fun. Except for a couple of things.
The zip line at that place was fun until it stopped.
Oh, we did the zip line all the time. It's just like the staff there hated me. But I mean that's fair because I'm me.
Also, kids.
Yeah, I was a mouthy asshole as a kid. I don't know what happened.
I am well aware. I remember you as a child.
Like they would say, "Chris, did you do this?" And I'm like, "Fuck no, I didn't." And then I would get in trouble. I would go into the seat. Anyway, what were we talking about again?
Now, here's the big thing, is that it gives the building the look of a lost era because it is a colonial era building in the South. And let's be honest, unless you go to New Orleans,
you don't see a lot of that.
You don't see a lot of colonial style buildings throughout the rest of the country because they rotted and fell down and fell into disuse.
I will say this, I've been to Rhode Island, and yeah, you do see some colonial style buildings there, which is interesting. I wish the rest of the trip was good. But like what I saw was interesting. Yeah, but if you come down here, you're gonna see a lot of gas stations,
You're going to see a lot of buildings that date back to the 1950s,
50s,
maybe to the
60s.
1920s, 1930s.
Garden District here has 1920s, 1930s.
Well, there's a couple buildings in that are older. Like there's the Feehole House, which is early 1800s, late 1700s.
Yeah.
Which is still actually a private residence.
Yeah, there's a couple of buildings like that. One of the houses, actually, we were looking at was built in 1927.
Well, that's not quite as old, but
yeah,
it's a ways.
Yeah, and it's in the Garden District.
Now, to get back on the story, I mean, the King's Tavern, or I should say just King's Tavern, is old, it looks old, and it's out of place, so it already gives you some vibes.
Yeah.
Now, in 1789, Richard King moved from New York to Natchez and bought the building. He opened it up as a tavern and post office. It wasn't so much a post office, more of where there weren't addresses in the late 1700s, early 1800s. So, like, the King's Tavern is the thing that, like, the postmaster recognizes in town. So he drops everybody's mail off there, and people come and get it. So the early mail system functioned that way. It was very profitable because the boatmen needed a place to stay and wanted a comfortable room. They made several comfortable rooms up on the third floor. So here's these dudes who just got handed a ton of money. Like, I hate to say it this way, well, you probably haven't seen it. When, like, 18-year-old kids fresh out of high school that have gone to work offshore get handed their first check after working for 3 months, like, hey, I'm going to hand you $7,000 or $8,000 right now.
Yeah.
Or, like, better yet, if you've ever watched Deadliest Catch, like, some of those guys get off the boat and get handed $25,000, $30,000 checks for their works, especially if they're like a part owner on the boat they work on.
Yeah.
Or if you even go back to the 70s, it was based on how much weight you brought in. So they're overloading these crab boats. So like in 1975, you got an 18-year-old that all of a sudden
has like too much money
like
to deal with.
$65,000 handed to him. And like there's somebody that has definitely got a trunk full of blow in the parking lot. You know what I mean? Like these are guys that have just got a huge sum of money right at this moment, and they are far from home. So is he going to make sure this room is opulent, nice, and what everybody wanted, especially by up-to-date standard and modern by the 1700 standards? 100%, because and he is going to charge a premium.
So he's basically banking on the people that don't know how to spend money.
It's not that they don't know how to spend money. You and I both know this. When there's ever a windfall, we splurge on like one thing and put the rest away for the rainy day. But
I've had a windfall recently, and
you got a new guitar?
No, I mean that actually, like, I haven't bought a new guitar, for one. Don't call me out like this. I did order the guitar, but I have not paid for it yet.
I'm just saying is we both, like, when I've gotten a windfall, I'll go and get one really nice tool for the shed, or my windfall that I got this time is why there's going to be a new computer for us to use.
Yeah, my windfall recently was a new rod and reel for fishing.
Right. So, I mean, that's what's happening here. It's not so much like he's exploiting them. It's just that they have a lot of money. They want something nice. I'm going to be that something nice.
That's fair.
Now I'm going to get money. So, he had a very secure income for a long time. Well, until about 1817, he sold the tavern because with the invention of the steamboat, cutting down on barge traffic to Natchez, he wasn't getting the return that he wanted, so he sold it and he moved on.
Yeah.
Now, farmers and boatmen no longer needed as many places to stay. Also, something I didn't mention earlier was that the Natchez Trace travel had dropped down. Now, the Natchez Trace is originally a Native American trail that stretches from Natchez to Nashville. I've driven part of the Natchez Trace before. I believe I got on it just south of Tupelo and drove to Jackson and then got back on 20. Mm-hmm. I will say this. The Natchez Trace is a 2-lane highway. You are going through the country. It is a scenic national treasure. There's several of those like period-style reconstructions and a fudge load of deer because there's no lights.
Ruby's parents live near Ruby's parents live near Natchez Trace.
So I mean, it's
like, and that's near Jackson.
Yeah. So I mean, it stretches for a minute through multiple states.
Yeah. So it was actually weird for us. We went to when we went to go camping, seeing Natchez Trace very far down, like near where we went to go camping.
Well, that's because it was near Natchez.
Yeah. Well, it was near Natchez, but it was like Natchez Trace is also near Jackson.
Yeah, but I mean, it's named after that city, so it makes sense.
I understandable. It's just like one of those things where you don't connect the dots initially, if that makes sense. Like, you see Natchez Trace, and I've been to Natchez before then. And it's just like...
It never clicked. It's kind of like... I can get it, because there's some people that don't understand that Kansas City barbecue comes from Kansas City.
Yeah. Because they're like, it comes from Kansas. It's like, but the Kansas City is in Missouri.
It's trying to break free and get into Kansas. It's petitioning daily.
I would too. I mean...
Well, let's be fair. We shouldn't hate on Missouri that much, because we have the exact same billboards at the state borders half the time. No, God is real. You're going to hell. Lions Den's adult bookstore.
I mean, I got here with the Jesus is risen sign every couple of miles.
This is true. I do like he is able. Jesus.
He is able. Jesus. It's like
this, but the way the way the sentence is structured, it does then present that there should be the existence of a disabled Jesus.
And that's the one I worship personally. Like, fuck the able Jesus, this asshole.
you don't go with the gospel of ableism. So for 150 years, the building was then the family home of the Postlewaite family, or Postlewaite family. So for about 150 years, the house then stayed in one family's possession. That's That's pretty cool. However, then we get to a little bit of a dark portion of the building's history. In 1930, while doing some remodeling, the remains of 3 people were found bricked up in the back of the fireplace. 2 men, 1 woman.
Okay, wait. You said bricked up?
Bricked up in the back of the fireplace.
Like, I thought it was something completely different.
What?
Let's move on.
Okay, so there were 3 bodies. 2 men, 1 woman, and a blood-covered jeweled dagger.
Now, so we found some bloody bodies.
No. We found skeletal remains, a dagger with dried human blood on it. So yeah, they found that. In 1973, the building became a restaurant and retook the title of King's Tavern.
Okay, wait. So we've had so many different bloody buildings with you, and now we're just gonna segue right into a restaurant.
Yeah, because then I will get to the stories that involve the bodies and the ghosts.
Okay, but wait. It just went from bloody bodies found in the basement to restaurant.
Yeah, they did in 1930s. The homeowner decided to put shiplap or some shit up. Actually, it's probably already there. They probably wanted, it's 1930s. They probably wanted to put carpet over the wood floor for some ungodly reason. They heard of a new invention called fucking linoleum and decided to ruin everything. They had a Velvet Elvis before Elvis was a thing up. I don't know. But they did some renovations. They found 3 dead bodies, 2 men, 1 woman, a bloody dagger. And we're moving on because that's how the story goes.
That's how the story goes. It's okay, let's throw this in the river. It's time to make a restaurant. What are you going to sell here?
Well, no, I mean, the family still owned the house for a while. And then 1973, after the family sold it, it became a restaurant and retook the title of King's Tavern.
I just want to know, what does King's Tavern sell?
Well, right now, nothing.
Oh, it's
permanently closed right now. However, in 2013, it became a farm-to-table restaurant with new owners. However, back in 2022, due to the unpleasant pandemic that we dealt with, the farm-to-table King Tavern restaurant did not survive, and they made artisan wood-fire pizzas. They had salads with local greens, local meats. The pork belly came from a pig farm just outside of Natchez itself. Everything that was at that restaurant was grown within Mississippi within 90 miles of the restaurant.
That's pretty nice.
So, I mean, that's still kind of a distance that's an hour and a half in any direction, but it means that they got everything from the area. But unfortunately, it was a niche, expensive restaurant. It was $25 a pie. So,
that's a lot.
Well, I mean, if you got a pork belly arugula artisanal pie with cheese from a local dairy,
that's I mean,
there's some adjectives that you could add on. Throw vegan in there for a couple of them, and you can just keep adding that money.
Vegan pork belly.
Yes, the vegan pork belly. What is it? It's bark.
It's bark. It's just bark. No, it's actually just pork belly. They just threw in vegan just to raise the prices.
But so it went back up for sale in 2022, and it has not been bought since. So currently, the King's Tavern is sitting abandoned.
That's sad.
I looked at this when we went camping with our friend Frecky. We went through Natchez, and I went through early enough that maybe I could try to grab lunch somewhere. And I thought maybe it would be nice to
go there.
Yeah, and because this is when I was doing the research for that, and no, it's
still gone.
It's gone. Now, let me tell you about the ghosts.
Ooh, we got ghosts?
Yeah, we got ghosts. It's a haunted place. You thought I was just going to give you a weird real estate sale? Hey, Chris, I know this is a podcast about cryptids, ghosts, and the unknown, but do I have a real estate deal for you?
I mean, honestly, I was about ready for you to be like, hey, we got a new business venture here.
You want to move an hour and a half to Mississippi? No.
I mean, looking at the current... Anyway.
So, is listed as one of the most haunted places, especially one of the most haunted restaurants in all of the state of Mississippi. Most people hear disembodied voices, the most notable being the crying of a young baby. We'll get to that in a second. I don't like it. There are footsteps. There are stories of of odd reflections in the mirror behind people. There are unexplained cold and warm spots. Also, uninvited and unexplained touching.
I don't like that.
Well, I mean, I'm going to say this. Unless, like, you can touch me, like most of those ghost shows do. And then someone's like, oh, my God, they scratched my back, bro.
Oh, my God, they gave me a massage.
Bro, they touched the inside of my pinky toe, and now I have a weird boner.
Oh, dude. They gave me a massage on my temples, and now I don't have a migraine.
Okay, you know what? That ghost can haunt me right now.
Yo, this one totally relieved my stress.
This one fixed my sciatica. Just out there is physical therapist, the ghost. Anyway,
like, why do you keep going to a fucking chiropractor? And
I didn't teach them this. Elsewhere, the ghost of Sherman. I did.
I said I could make God with the crack of the back. I don't know anything about it.
Anyway, the first ghost that is noted in the King's Tavern is the baby. This is my least favorite ghost.
I can see why. It's not a good title at all.
So there is a man by the name of Micah, also known as Micah Harp, known as Big Harp. He was a bandit or highwayman along the Natchez Trace. Now, he was not a friendly man. He was not a good man. And while he was drinking, he was very annoyed by a baby crying somewhere in the tavern.
I don't like where this is going.
Oh, I don't. He staggered up to the attic and snatched the child from the mother, who was staying there, and slammed the baby into the wall, killing it.
Oh.
He then went back downstairs to drinking.
I don't like this guy.
Now, some versions of the story even claim it was his own infant daughter, which made me instantly hate everything about this story because
Can we kill this man again?
Well, I'm going to get into
Can we double kill him?
No, because of the way they killed him, he was killed enough. But as the father of a
I don't think he was
10-month-old little girl, did not care for this story, and it's one of those of like, all right, I'm gonna fight a ghost. I'm gonna fight a ghost in this building right now.
I mean, okay, we're going down to this place now. I'm motivated.
Eventually, we have to like call up the real estate. Like, hey, we're a supernatural podcast, and we want to do a ghost hunt in your for sale property.
We're going to kill this ghost.
We want to throw hands with the possible ghost of Big Harp.
We're going to throw hands, and he's going down. We're motivated. Fuck this guy.
Here's the deal with the harps. Okay, so I love this. I typed harps, but it auto-corrected to herpes in my notes.
Yeah, fuck this guy. His name is Herpes now.
So the harps stole along the Natchez Trace from Mississippi to Tennessee and even up into Kentucky. They were supposed to be extremely brutal and noted for killing for fun. Don't know if that's true or if that is just elements to make a bad man even worse. When he got caught, he was beheaded at some point.
Good.
And had his head mounted on a post at the crossroads of the Natchez Trace and another road in Kentucky. In fact, that is still known as Harp Road.
Tight.
So when I say he got killed, wasn't just killed. He had his head impaled upon a post.
That's good. He needs to be double killed, though.
I think that might be double killed because they also put the rest of him on other posts along the road.
In Minecraft. We're talking about a guy that died.
This is possibly close to, over 200 years ago.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then Willie Little Harp was also beheaded after trying to collect a bounty on his former gang leader, but got recognized and was hung.
So he's like, yeah, I'll get that. And they're like, the fuck are you talking about?
He killed his boss with a friend and then tried to go collect the bounty in Jackson. And then they're like, wait
a minute.
You're Little Harp. No.
I'm not Little Harp. I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, so then, get on that gallows.
They hung him and then they put his head on a stake in Natchez.
We're going to put your head on a stake in Natchez. Go over there.
Now, we're talking 1700s, and some people, when they hear the story, are like, we didn't do that. Yeah, we did. We used to, like, up until the late 1800s, sometimes criminals that were hung were left hanging as an example for what they did. before we buried them.
I
Like,
don't think
they were left
people-
there for a minute.
I don't think people realize like how brutal people were back in the day.
Were.
I mean they are now, but like we have laws against like public executions and like drawing and quartering and things like that.
But that's because that's cruel and unusual punishment, 8th Amendment. Now we move to a different ghost, Madeline.
Is this one as bad?
Yeah.
Oh fuck!
It's not like put a kid in a bag and make sausage bad.
Let's not use that term.
That was just Lady Longfingers that you laughed your ass off about. You inappropriate bastard. But Madeline was the 16-year-old serving girl who worked in the tavern for King. He seduced her, and she willingly, heavy on the quotation marks, became his mistress. So right here, King sucks.
Kings always suck, though.
Well, here's the deal. Like, some people are like, well, no. I'm going to come out here. This is a man that was in his 40s, and this was a child who was 16. Even by the standards back then, even though it was legal, it's still icky to everybody. Like, it was gross. So, King's wife doing what people do instead of getting mad at King, either stabbed Madeline or hired people to stab her to death. So I'm not going to be mad at my husband for having a mistress. I'm going to be mad at the mistress for seducing my husband. It's like, yeah, your husband is a gross creeper that did hook up with a 16-year-old. So who you mad at? The 16-year-old. That tracks. This tracks. Anyway, so Madeline was stabbed to death. Rumors popped up very quickly that she bricked her up in the fireplace.
I'm sorry, I hear bricked up and I'm like...
Not constipated, Chris, not constipated. So, when the remains were found in the 1930s, people went, oh shit, this story might be...
True.
Now, the thing is the female skeleton was... they couldn't really tell how old, because wisdom teeth coming through, wisdom teeth can come in between 16 or never get them or in their 20s. So, but one of the female skeleton was younger and smaller in stature, so they do believe that it was Madeline's skeleton. Now, her apparition can be seen all over the property. She appears in old-timey clothes. So she appears in it's one of those of, is it Cowboy Times when the ghost shows up type? Have you seen that meme? Is it Colonial Times? No, ma'am. Oh, then I am a ghost. Yes.
So yeah, you're a ghost.
She appears in windows and mirrors, makes faces at you in the mirror. Like, she fucking teases you. She's apparently...
Does she do a Beetlejuice?
No, not a Beetlejuice. Like, she's not like... Bah. It's more like sticks a tongue out or goes... More like Casper's uncle's scary than...
Okay, so...
Playful, pranky type stuff.
I like that ghost. I like a ghost that's like... Hey, I'm not going to try and scare you. I'm just going to try and fuck with you a little bit.
She makes warm spots on beds, and this has been caught on thermal camera.
Oh, okay.
And I'll talk about that here in a second. But apparently them cheeks did get caught in thermal.
Some cheeks get caught.
And the only reason I say that is the people that caught it did definitely describe it as looking like a bottom or a buttocks.
That sounds like some Ghost Hunter shit right there.
Now, her footsteps...
Yo, bro, we caught some butts on camera.
Her footsteps have been seen on freshly mopped floors in the building. One employee reported even watching them appear increasingly faster coming towards him.
Oh, okay, that's
fucking spooky.
Yeah, just...
Like Madeline making faces in the mirrors, making warm spots on beds. That's kind of creepy. All of a sudden... Footprints with nobody on them coming towards me in the mop water. That's a little creepy, but if they start picking up the pace...
It's like, oh,
I'm going out the. You know what? I'm making a hole in this wall. I'm going.
I got something to do at the house.
I shit my pants. That's what I did.
I gotta change my underwear.
She moves chairs, knocks over jars and glasses. Has made water fall from the ceiling before. Not like a busted pipe. Not like a bucket was spilled. Just water fell out the fucking ceiling.
So she was just like Kobe and just like drowned somebody in some water. Not literally drowned.
Too soon. Too soon on that one.
Kobe did not die by drowning.
No, but just like making a Kobe reference.
I make Kobe references all the time. I just say Kobe.
Especially when you run into a wall.
Too soon.
Let's see. Turns off and on faucets and lights. Opens and slams doors. And more than one EVP has been caught by news crews and ghost hunters, and it seems to be an intelligent haunting, not a
residual.
It's not stone tape. Like, she can respond.
Just so anyone that's listening to this who has never like got into like ghost hunting, a residual haunting is a haunting that's kind of like a recording. They say that certain minerals will record human activity. And residual ghosts will just repeat the same thing. An intelligent haunting is supposed to be like the ghost of a spirit that can do things on their own volition.
So that's Madeline.
Okay.
So we went from very disturbing ghost to sad story, but kind of I'm gonna fuck with you ghost.
I like a little funny ghost.
She's making the best of her situation. And then there is the man in the top hat. It's not the Hat Man, but is a man in a top hat because he is a full body apparition that is a menacing spirit.
Well, let's be real here. A Hat Man type ghost isn't like, okay, so
he's not always a shadow figure, is what I was trying to get at.
Yeah. The Hat Man itself is probably a lot older in terms of like a trope, because I mean you see that in popular culture anyway.
Well, look back at even some of like the ghost stories from back in the day. It was always like a tall, skinny man in a tall hat, because a hat can make you look
more menacing.
Well, not just that, but make you look taller sometimes, especially the silhouette.
I mean, think about like Abe Lincoln, and he wore a top hat, and that man was like 6'7".
He was 6'4".
I mean, that's still tall.
It was definitely tall for back then. Now, it's a menacing spirit. His shadow appears, or is a man in a top hat. A lot of times they can make out that he has red hair, and they can make out his face is always grimacing. A lot of people believe this is the ghost of Little Harp, because Little Harp was a spare man. He was skinny. It wasn't like he was short. He was just skinny, and Big Harp was just big. Now, he appears in pictures near the fireplace. He has appeared in mirrors, grimacing at people. He has caused people to feel like they are being strangled. The feeling of evil. He throws dishes. He has also caused, I guess it gets kind of the sleep paralysis, because people have felt like someone was pressing a weight down on them to smother them in the bed, and they will see him.
Yeah.
So I guess it does link back to the Hat Man just a little bit. So those are the three ghosts that always appear. I mean, and while it's not a plethora of ghosts, like when I talked about the Lapitte Theater, there's three very active ghosts, or three very active hauntings there. Like the baby's probably a stone tape or residual, but it seems like the man in the top hat and Madeline are both intelligent. Now, the claim to fame of King's Tavern is that it appeared in season 6, episode 26 of Ghost Hunters, and it's also been looked at by Ghost Adventures.
Very reliable sources there.
To be fair, if it's famous enough to get onto one of the popular ghost shows,
there might be some validity.
There might be something there. Now, my sources, I did get a little bit of information from Wikipedia about the history of the building. TravelChannel.com for mentioning Ghost Adventures, and they're the one. Ghost Adventures are the ones that made a comment about it looked like there was a buttocks shape of heat.
Of course, it's good. I was sitting here thinking, like, who would say that, and probably Ghost Adventures, and I was right.
Let's see, hauntedhouses.com/Mississippi/King Tavern. LibGuides, hindscc.edu, paranormal ms/King Tavern. So another school site. Those are the sites I got most of the information from. And I'm going to go out on a limb here, as I've done before. I think there's something there.
I think there could be something there because it's, from what you have said, there is a lot of history there, and there is actually, like, some tragedy that might have happened there.
So I think I think something happened. I'm not necessarily going to say it's haunted, but there is something there that is causing people to have this reaction. And before people jump in with like, oh, bad wiring. I mean, it could be bad wiring, but some of these, the first accounts of hauntings and some of these sightings are before there was electrical in the building.
Yeah.
Or before there was indoor plumbing in the building. So
regardless, I think it's an interesting story.
It's fun. It's not far. Unfortunately, you can't go to it right now because it's...
So we will keep an eye out for it just to see if we can visit there soon. But on that note, we are Backwoods Obscura. We release every Tuesday. We are releasing on most podcatchers. We are hopefully going to be on Apple soon. As for social media, we are setting that up as we speak. We are also Team Bonus Action.
Team Bonus Action is a charity tabletop and video game playing group of friends. We are currently partnered with St. Jude's, but throughout the rest of the year, sometimes we are partnered with the Trevor Project, multiple different reading charities, or through Extra Life Batson's Children's Hospital and the Miracle Children's Hospital Network. You can find more about that at teambonusaction.com, and you can find more information about us in general there or on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads as Team Bonus Action. Oh, and YouTube is Team Bonus Action. And you can find us as bonus_team on the hellscape that is Twitter.
And on that note, I hope you have a good day, night, or whatever time it is.
Later, y'all.
Later. I hope y'all do okay.